Sometimes wins are stolen on the golf course, and that's exactly what happened on Sunday at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So let's recap what went down at Bay Hill with a man who's well-versed in the sport of golf. It's my guy, Curran Bhatia, who joins me now. Curran, looking dapper as always, my friend. How's it going?
Dexter, I'm just trying to learn from you, man. I see the pocket square, you got the hoodie, you
Man,
got it working, man.
listen, hey, I try. I try to bring my A game. You know, that's what you got to do out here.
Always.
However, today on the golf course, one person I guess
Yes.
brought their A game, and the other
Speaking of
person
A game.
did not. Right? Like speaking of A games, one person did, the other person did not. So let's talk about it, Curran. Russell Henley, remarkable
Yeah.
comeback from him. Right? Comes back, wins the tournament, notably with a crucial eagle chip in on the 16th hole. Could you break down Henley's performance in the final round and how he managed to overtake Collin Morikawa?
I would describe Russell Henley in two words: steady and resilient. And it was an incredible come from behind win for Russell Henley, especially because the man in front of him was a two major winner in Collin Morikawa. And Collin Morikawa is an excellent golfer in his own right. The first time he ever played at the Open and at the PGA Championship, he ended up winning those. So he's a very accomplished golfer. And it was Collin Morikawa was in the lead. He had a two-shot lead with 5 holes to go, and then of course it all came tumbling down. The 16th hole was crucial, but so was the 14th, the par three. And in that, Collin made a bogey. Henley was able to capitalize, and then it all came down to that 16th hole. And you mentioned it there, that eagle chip by Henley, and that almost sealed the deal. It gave Henley the one-stroke lead, and he was able to carry that to the finish. So very impressive win for Henley and devastating loss for Collin Morikawa, who's looking to get another big win. It's been a while since we've seen Collin Morikawa win. It's been over 500 days. His last win was at the Zozo Championship in October of 2023. So it's been a minute now. In one way, Collin Morikawa can say, hey, I had a good performance. I was in the lead. I was in the final pairing, but it has to be devastating to lose in that fashion.
Yeah, you would think that it had to be devastating to lose in that fashion because Collin Morikawa, he led for much of the tournament, but he couldn't secure the
Yeah.
win, as you mentioned. What aspects of his game, Curran, faltered in the final holes, and how did that impact his chances to close efficiently here?
Yeah, with Collin Morikawa, he's such an excellent ball striker, and he works the fade, he works the ball left to right, and he was able to do that on this course. It was a very tricky course, actually. This course at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, this was Bay Hill, of course, in Florida, was playing at my +8 in the front nine, -50 in the back. So what that means is there were scoring opportunities to be had, but in the beginning of the rounds, it was almost like a minefield. So very, very difficult. And I think the issue for Colin was just that he ran into Russell Henley. And the thing is, if that eagle chip doesn't go in on 16, we're having a whole different conversation. And that's not to say it wasn't skill for Henley. It was. I'm sure he's practiced that shot so many times. If you saw the look on Henley's face, he was absolutely stoic. He was locked in and focused. And I'm sure Collin Morikawa was feeling a lot of emotions there too. But let's just say that chip in on 16th didn't go in for eagle. It probably would have flown by because it had a lot of speed on it. And we would be having a very different conversation here. So I actually think there's a lot for Collin Morikawa to build off of here. But like we said, I mean, it's going to be tough. The other thing, I think Collin Morikawa is going to have to work a little bit on consistency on certain shots. On
Hmm.
the 18th hole, when Collin Morikawa was only behind by one stroke, he hit it into the right bunker. And that same place is where he hit it every single round. Now, had he not done that, let's say he got into the fairway on the 18th hole, maybe he could get a birdie, get it close in that approach shot, get a birdie, and then go to a playoff, and we could be having a different conversation. So consistency is something that Collin Morikawa has to work off, especially off the tee there.
Yep, golf game of consistency, and the margins are very slim when it comes to
Yes.
winning these tournaments. Now, one other thing I wanted to talk to you about with this tournament, we saw Rory McIlroy. He experienced some
Yes.
challenges off the tee, leading him to switch back to his old driver after a tough week. So, how significant was this adjustment for McIlroy, and did it improve his games in the later rounds that we saw here in this tournament?
Because this course was so tricky, the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard at Bay Hill, it's hard to know exactly how much a club change is going to affect something. But I do give credit to Rory McIlroy for making a change because we know how mental golf is. And Dexter, we spoke about it last year after the U.S. Open, the devastating loss by Rory McIlroy, who's missing short putts, and Bryson DeChambeau jumped through that door and snatched that major away. And remember, Rory McIlroy, yes, he's ranked number 2 in the world, but he hasn't won a major since 2014. It's been over a decade since the number 2 player in the world has won a major. So you know that that's weighing on his mind. So I give credit for Rory for trying something new, right? Let's say the driver's not working, you want more consistency, you go back to the old driver. I think that's a good thing to do. But at the same time, you have to look at, okay, what are the other parts of my game that I need to prove? One thing that Rory has going for him, even in that devastating loss last year, he was still in the mix and he had a chance to win. He also had 4 worldwide wins in 2024. And the biggest thing Rory McIlroy has going for him, he already won this year at Pebble Beach. So he's got that momentum to ride. And that's going to be huge for Rory McIlroy. So number 2 player in the world, a lot of things going right. Dexter, you know this. The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So I give credit to Rory McIlroy for making some changes and trying to get back to that level of winning a major championship.
Yeah, no, you don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over if it is not working. He's trying to get back to that level, and he's trying to look ahead to next week, which we're going to do here as we wrap. Looking ahead to the Players' Championship going down next week. Which players, if it isn't Rory McIlroy, are there others that we should keep an eye on, especially considering their performances that we saw from some of the best golfers in the world at Bay Hill?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a few players to look out for. Looking forward to next week. This is the Players' Championship, of course, TBC Sawgrass. It's an iconic course, one of the best weeks of the years for golfers. And we all know that 17th green, that island green for the par 3, anything can happen. And then you get to 18 and it looks like it's half fairway and half water, or maybe even 75% water. So it's a very intimidating hole, very intimidating finish to the course. But this is one of the best weeks of the year for golfers, a very prestigious tournament in the Players' Championship. They just had one prestigious tournament with a signature event at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Now another one coming up next week. So who are some players to look out for? So of course we have to look out for Russell Henley. He just won this tournament at the Arnold Palmer Invitational in electric fashion. We saw him there with his kids running up after. It's something that all golfers dream about. And Henley was able to have ice in his veins. He was able to sink that eagle chip on 16th, come from behind, stay steady on the 17th, stay steady on the 18th, sink the putts when it mattered, and get a big win. So obviously the momentum there for Russell Henley. Before this, he hadn't won in over 800 days on tour. So this was a big win for him and his confidence. So he's certainly someone that you should look out for. Another player that you got to look out for is the man he just beat, Collin Morikawa. Collin Morikawa, like we said, he's won majors the first time he ever steps into them. So now it has been a minute, over 500 days since October 2023 when we saw Collin Morikawa win a PGA Tour event. But it seems like his game is in order. He was very close here. Couple other names for you to look at. We talked about Rory McIlroy making changes. He's already won this year, and he's the number 2 player in the world. He finished T15 in this event, so that's something to build off of. That's another one. I'm going to give you a little bit of a dark horse here. That's Jason Day. So Jason Day, we're starting to see, he's a former number 1 player in the world. That was back in 2015. He had some back issues. He came back, reworked his game, reworked his swing a little bit so it doesn't have to rely so much on the back turn, and he's almost reinvented himself in a way. Now, we're seeing his name in headlines for the clothing he's going to wear, things like that, but you're also seeing his name on leaderboards here and there. And so I think Jason Day is going to have a strong performance at the Players, another player to look out for. I'm going to give you one more big name, someone that I think you should look out for, who I think is going to take home the crown at the Players Championship. That is the number 1 player in the world, Scottie Scheffler. Scottie Scheffler won the Players Championship in 2024. He won it in 2023. He's the first ever golfer to win the Players Championship in consecutive years. And so my prediction is Scottie Scheffler is going to be the first three-peat winner at the Players Championship. Remember, number 1 player in the year, number 1 player in the world, had an absolutely electric 2024. Won the Masters, won an Olympic gold medal, won the FedEx Cup. You can't say enough good things about Scottie Scheffler. Remember, he started this year off with that bizarre injury, a non-golf injury to his hand. He's back now. He finished this event T11. So that's something that Scottie Scheffler can build off of as we go into next week at the Players Championship and then onward into the Masters and we get into major championship season. I look for Scottie Scheffler to have another big year. The number 1 player in the world will be heard from at the Masters and the Players Championship.
I like that prediction of Scottie Scheffler to go for the three-peat at TPC. We'll see if he's able to get that done. A lot to keep their eye on. And yeah, obviously, got to keep your eye on the number 1 player in the world. But good weekend here at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Very fantastic finish for the winner in this one. Tough loss for Collin Morikawa. That is Curran Bhatia doing a great job covering the sport of golf. Curran, always a pleasure to talk to you, and keep looking dapper, my friend.
Dexter, thank you so much. And expect a great performance from Scotty Scheffler next week. Expect another great outfit from Dexter Henry next week as well. This is something we can count
Hey,
on.
I'll tell you, I won't falter in the clutch on that one. I can definitely promise you
There you
that
go.
for sure.
There you
Thanks,
have
Curran.
it.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.